You ever walk into a room and feel like the walls are breathing? Not in that cozy, lived-in kind of way, but like something's watching you. Like the air's thicker than it should be, heavy, uncomfortable. And you tell yourself it's nothing. Maybe you're tired. Maybe it's just your mind playing tricks. But deep down, something's tapping on the back of your neck, whispering, check again. It's funny, isn't it? How something can sit in your room right there in the corner day after day, and you never really see it. It's like background noise, like wallpaper been there so long, your brain just skips past it. But it's watching you. Oh yeah, sitting quiet, blending in, hiding behind its harmless little face while you scroll, sleep, talk, laugh. And the whole time it's pulling something out of you. Something subtle. Something slow. But not nothing. Never nothing. People like to think evil's loud, that it announces itself, that it walks in with horns and red flags and says, hey, I'm here to ruin your life. But that's not how it works. Not the real stuff. The real stuff whispers, it decorates itself, it comes in colors you like, sounds you vibe with, feelings you trust. It shows up as nostalgia, as pleasure, as the thing that helps you relax. Maybe it's a little gift you bought yourself, something a friend left behind, a souvenir from a season you were supposed to leave behind but didn't. So there it sits, smiling like it belongs, feeding off the space, leeching the room. See, the room is sacred, whether you like it or not, your space. That's where your thoughts form, where your prayers live, where your mind resets or unravels. And you let something camp out in there, some object, some symbol, some little thing you thought meant nothing, and now it's the most powerful presence in the room. Not because it's strong, but because you gave it permission to stay. And the trick is, it never shows up strong. Nah, it starts small, innocent, decorative. Maybe it's an old shirt from someone who hurt you. Maybe it's music that used to heal you, but now it just haunts you. Maybe it's that book, that movie, that crystal, that deck, that scent. Yeah, even a scent can carry memory like poison and perfume. And you don't even question it because it doesn't growl or bite, but it doesn't have to. It just sits. And you wonder why you feel heavier, why sleep doesn't hit the same, why your thoughts spiral more now, why peace won't stretch out and stay a while. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You're being warned. There's something in the room. Something you let in. Or maybe you didn't but you let it stay, and that's enough. See, the thing about darkness is, it doesn't need to kick the door down. It just needs you not to kick it out. That's the real game. Get comfy. Get quiet. Go unnoticed. Meanwhile, the atmosphere starts shifting. Your fire dims. Your clarity gets foggy. And every time you walk past it, that harmless little object, something inside you clenches. You just ignore it. Of course you do, that's the deal. It counts on you ignoring it. But deep down, that thing wasn't always here. Life was different before it showed up. Brighter, sharper, lighter. And now there's weight, now there's pressure. But hey, it's just a thing, right? Just a vibe. Just a part of the decor. That's what it wants you to believe. That's how it survives. By convincing you it's small, it's innocent, it's harmless, but the energy's off. You feel it. Every time you try to grow, try to pray, try to focus, it's like something's pushing back. Something close. Too close. It's wild how quick people are to lock their doors at night, double-check the windows, even put cameras up. Outside, but inside, they let demons decorate the shelves. They let curses play through the speakers. They let spirits sleep on the pillow next to them and call it comfort. And then they wonder why their dreams don't feel safe anymore. Why their thoughts feel foreign. Why their peace comes in pieces now. It's not about superstition. It's not paranoia. It's discernment. You've been feeling it. That itch. That tug. That urge to clean not just the dust, not just the clutter. Something deeper. A knowing. A voice not yelling but warning. Gentle, urgent, firm. Saying check the room. There's something in here that doesn't belong. And it's been feeding too long. You ever notice how people love to act brand new when their life starts falling apart? They say things like, I don't know what happened, or I was doing everything right. But if you look close, real close, there's always something they left in place. Something they refused to touch. A comfort they called harmless. Poison they framed as a keepsake. You know what I'm talking about. That thing they swore didn't matter. That little habit, that little app, that playlist, that person on standby. They kept it quiet, kept it hidden, fed it crumbs in the dark, thinking it wouldn't grow teeth. But it did. It always does. You don't lose power all at once. That's not how it goes. It leaks, one drop at a time. You give a little piece away here, another piece there. And what's worse, you call it peace. You call it being chill. You call it keeping things casual. Meanwhile, the thing in your room, the one you won't name, is getting fat off your silence, off your delay, off your ability to convince yourself you're still in control. But you're not. Because what you don't confront controls you. And what you protect out of comfort becomes the very chain around your neck. You ever try to walk into purpose with dead weight on your back? You ever try to rise while dragging something that should have been buried 5 seasons ago? That's why your fire sputters. That's why your clarity goes fuzzy every time you get close to breakthrough. Because what you haven't removed is what's been resisting you. You think you can serve something bigger while entertaining something dark on the side. You think you can build with clean hands while keeping filth in your pocket. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Your power in public will never be stronger than your obedience in private. Go ahead, light the candles, make the vision boards, speak the affirmations. But if you're still entertaining things that have no place in your space, if you're still making room for the very thing that's been choking your momentum, then don't act surprised when nothing moves. The spirit can't flow freely in a space you've already given to something else. You want clarity, but you've created confusion. You want elevation, but you're still cuddling the thing that pulled you down last time. Make it make sense. See, the enemy doesn't need to take over your life. He just needs a seat at the table. Just one little corner of your room. One little habit you defend with excuses. One attachment you keep just in case. And that's enough. That's the breach. That's the open door. That's the invitation. And it doesn't come swinging in with a roar. It slides in, sits down, and starts rearranging things in silence. You won't even notice until it's already shaped your schedule, poisoned your priorities, dulled your discernment, and made you forget what freedom even felt like. And here's the real kicker: it'll use your own voice to justify staying. That's the genius of it. It sounds like you. It's not that deep. It's just temporary. I'll deal with it later. Everyone has their thing. You'll sit there and argue for your own destruction because you've confused attachment with identity. You've made peace with poison because you like the taste. But now you're coughing up your purpose and wondering why the room feels cold. You're praying for light while guarding the very shadows that block it. People want God to speak, but they don't want to listen. Because when He whispers, remove it. It's never vague. You know exactly what He's talking about. That's why it stings. That's why you flinch. That's why you pretend you didn't hear it. But obedience isn't about what's convenient, it's about what's required. And what's required is uncomfortable. It costs, it cuts, it separates, but it frees. And if you want to carry power without breaking, if you want to be used without being torn in half, then you can't keep holding hands with what's draining you. So while you're asking for guidance, check the room. While you're waiting on breakthrough, look around. While you're seeking clarity, pay attention to what's been lurking in the background. Because sometimes the silence you hear isn't divine stillness, it's interference. And sometimes the delay you're blaming on timing is actually a war between the calling on your life and the compromise in your room, and the choice to remove it. That's the part no one can do for you. That's the moment where you stop asking for a sign and start being the signal. You'd be amazed how blind people can be to the things closest to them. Not the faraway monsters, not the big loud chaos out there in the streets, no. I'm talking about the thing in the house. The thing in your room. The one you walk past every single day without batting an eye. The thing that started off looking cute, sounding fun, maybe even felt like it healed you once upon a time. But now it's rotting, but it's dressed up nice, still wearing the same smile it had when you invited it in. And that's why you won't touch it. You don't want to admit what it's become. See, when something gets familiar, it gets safe. Even if it's toxic, even if it's draining you, you build routines around it, you build identity around it. You defend it when people question it. You tell yourself it's nothing, just background noise, part of the vibe. Meanwhile, it's warming into your decisions, your dreams, your discipline. You think you're in control. No, it's pulling strings, quiet ones, delicate ones. Strings tied to how you think, how to speak, how you believe. It's subtle. It's brilliant. It's got you believing you're fine while you're slowly being emptied out. You don't feel the shift at first, that's the trick. It doesn't slap you. It drips. You used to get up early. Now you snooze 3 times. You used to speak life. Now everything sounds sarcastic, tired, defensive. You used to have vision, but now you're just coasting. The room feels different, but you call it stress. The energy feels thick, but you blame it on work. You're not even aware that you've adjusted yourself around something you were supposed to remove. And every time you feel that quiet nudge, that whisper in your gut that says, get rid of it, you push it back down with another excuse. It's not that bad, I'll deal with it later, it's not hurting anybody. Lie. It is hurting somebody. It's hurting you. Not with a punch, not with a scream, but with silence, with fog, with slow distraction. It's like a leech smiling while it sucks. And it doesn't care how strong you are. It doesn't care how good your intentions are. It just needs you to keep ignoring it. That's it. That's the whole strategy. Stay quiet. Stay in the corner. Let you keep scrolling, keep working, keep pretending everything's okay. Because as long as it stays, your power won't. Your clarity won't. Your peace won't. They can't coexist. It's oil and water, light and shadow. One has to go. But you've grown attached. That's the problem. You don't even see it as foreign anymore. It's part of the decor, part of the playlist, part of your process. And the thought of removing it, that stings. That means admitting you were wrong to keep it. That maybe you've been building something sacred on top of something cursed, and no one wants to start over. No one wants to empty a room they spent years decorating. So you delay, you downplay, you negotiate, but you know better. Deep down, you know. You start noticing things. The way your focus keeps slipping. The way your motivation feels hollow. The way your rest doesn't recharge you. Something's off. Something's always off now. And it's not just life being hard. It's not just stress. It's presence. Something's in the room that shouldn't be. Something you let in. Or maybe you inherited it. Maybe someone left it behind. Maybe you don't even know where it came from. But you know what it's doing now. And that should be enough. The most dangerous things in your life aren't the loud ones. They're the quiet permissions. The silent agreements. The little things you let slide. That's where the power bleeds out. That's where the calling gets cloudy. Not because you're weak, but because you're distracted, deluded. And every second you wait to deal with it, the roots grow deeper. And the deeper it roots, the more it starts to look like you. That's what's scary. You start confusing it with your own personality, your own identity, and you defend it like it's part of you, even though it's been feeding off you the whole time. People talk about breakthroughs like they fall from the sky. No, they're built. They're unlocked. And sometimes the only key you need is removal. Just one act of obedience. One decision to look around the room and ask, what doesn't belong here anymore? But you can't ask that if you're scared of the answer. You can't see clearly if you're protecting the very thing that's been blinding you. And if you don't confront it, it'll keep taking. Not fast. Not dramatic, just quietly. One breath at a time. Isn't it hilarious how people light candles, say prayers, beg for peace, and then wonder why it never comes? They stand there, hands lifted, hearts heavy, asking for God to move, to speak, to show up strong, while something dark is sitting right there on their nightstand. Oh yeah, right in the room, watching, listening, feeding. They ask for light, but they're still entertaining shadows. They ask for direction, but their compass is buried under clutter, emotional, spiritual, physical junk they were bothered to question. It's not deep, they say, but it's deep enough to drown you if you let it. You can't ask for divine alignment while holding hands with contradiction. It doesn't work like that. You want the holy, but keep space for what's haunted. You want clarity, but you won't cut ties with confusion. You keep the door open just in case and wonder why peace won't stay. The spirit you want won't inhabit a space already claimed by something else. And no, it doesn't need to have horns or fangs to be dangerous. It just needs your silence, your permission, that's all. You don't even have to say yes, just don't say no. Just ignore it long enough. That's enough to give it power. You've got books on the shelf you haven't touched in years, but their words still live in your walls. You've got photos that hold pain like they're souvenirs of trauma, framed and polished like art. You've got music looping in your headphones that numbs your soul, but you call it your vibe. Little things, right? Nothing big, but big enough to bend your atmosphere. Big enough to shift the frequency. Because your room isn't just where you sleep, it's where you build, where you think, where you battle. If the enemy can't beat you head on, he'll sit in your corner and wait. Wait till you're tired. Wait till your guard drops. Wait until you stop noticing he's even there. And the wild part, you've probably felt it already, that heaviness, that tension. You cleaned the floor, but it still felt messy. You lit the incense, opened the window, played the affirmations, but something still felt off. You looked around and saw nothing. But something saw you, and it knows exactly what it's doing. It just needs you to keep dismissing that gut feeling, that little spark of awareness you keep burying under your schedule. That whisper you heard at 2 a.m. telling you to check that drawer, to toss that box, to delete that file. But you didn't. And now that thing's not just in the room, it's in the routine. You talk about wanting to level up, but you haven't leveled out yet. You haven't cleared the space. You haven't made room for the weight of what's coming. And here's the irony, you're asking God to bring the next chapter into a room where the last chapter is still sitting cross-legged, legs swinging cross-legged in the corner, swinging, grinning, knowing you're too sentimental to evict it. You want new wine, but you're still clinging to old skins, can't mix the two. Can't upgrade your spirit while your space is echoing yesterday's demons. You know what needs to go, you've always known. But it's easier to pretend you didn't hear the knock. So here's what happens. You keep walking in circles. You call it a season, but it's a cycle. You say you're waiting on God, but he's been waiting on you. Waiting on you to stop ignoring the obvious. Waiting on you to stop decorating your dysfunction and calling it personality. Waiting on you to open your eyes to the atmosphere you've built. Because make no mistake, you built it. Every choice, every item, every indulgence. It's a blueprint. Your room is a reflection of what you've tolerated, of what you've allowed to stay even when it stopped serving you. You're not cursed, you're cluttered. You're not under attack, you're under the weight of too much compromise. That's the real battle, not demons with pitchforks. But your inability to say this can't stay. Because once you say that, everything shifts, the spell breaks. The grip loosens. The room breathes again. But it starts with you. Not a pastor, not a prophet, you. Standing in your own space, looking at what you've allowed, what you've fed, what you've ignored, and making a choice. Not an emotional one. A spiritual one. One that cuts. One that costs. One that clears the air. You say you want to be used by God. You say you want his presence. Then check the room. Every inch of it, every shelf, every playlist, every symbol, every memory still lurking in the fabric of your pillows and the files in your file. Because his voice doesn't compete. His presence doesn't push. It waits. Quiet, still, until the space is ready. Until the shadows are gone. until the invitation is real. And right now the invitation is tangled in contradiction, wrapped in clutter, lost in compromise. You ever see someone begging for breakthrough while they're still hiding the blade? Asking for healing while holding the wound open themselves? That's the funny part. People want to be delivered but don't want to disconnect. They want power with their poison, light with their filth, God in the same room they've given to ghosts. They pray with fire in their chest and filth in their drawer, and then wonder why the heavens feel quiet. But it's not that nothing's happening. Oh no, something is happening. It's just that the atmosphere's too crowded to catch it, too jammed up with things you swore were harmless. There's always something, isn't there? That one little object you won't get rid of, that one little app you won't delete, that late night message you never respond to but still keep just in case. The old hoodie, the curse of souvenir, the incense from someone you don't talk to anymore but you still burn it. Because nostalgia. Rituals you don't even remember picking up, symbols you think are aesthetic, content you think is just entertainment. And all of it's pulling, whispering, claiming space in a room you say is sacred. You talk about wanting clarity, but you're still entertaining case in disguise. You ever feel that tightness? That heaviness when you walk into a room and it's not the lighting, not the temperature, it's the residue. Leftover emotion. Old frequencies still swirling around like smoke. You cleaned the floor but not the air. You got rid of the obvious but not the subtle. And it's the subtle things that strangle the fastest. The subtle things that block the strongest. They don't show up short horns and red flags. They blend in. They laugh with you. They sit quietly in the corner while you pray. They nod while you make promises. They watch while you worship. And they stay because you let them. People think the enemy's after their money, their success, their relationships. Cute. What he wants is your access point. He wants the doorway. He wants the window left cracked. He wants to sit just outside your consecration and bleed it dry. And he doesn't need violence, he needs permission. He needs your apathy. Your ability to say it's just a song. It's just a vibe, it's just a phase. And suddenly your life is built on justifications. But spirits don't need full consent. They just need you not to resist. They just need you to keep letting things be. And every time you ignore that voice telling you this thing has to go, you hand over another key. It's not always about what's evil. Sometimes it's what's expired. It's not attacking you, but it's anchoring you. Not haunting you, but holding you in place. That shirt that belonged to someone who broke you. That book you swore was innocent but filled your dreams with something strange. That song that used to make you cry in your car and now just makes you numb. That channel you watch that always leaves you drained but you keep clicking anyway. These aren't coincidences. They're open doors. Agreements. Energy that you've allowed to pitch a tent in your space and call it home. The scariest part, you've probably normalized it. You don't even see it anymore. That's what time does. Makes you numb. Makes the sharp edges feel smooth. The things you used to flinch at now feel familiar. Comfortable. Safe. And what's familiar becomes identity if you wear it long enough. That's how bondage becomes lifestyle. You dress it up. You integrate it. You defend it. Until removing it feels like losing a limb. But the truth is, it was never part of you. It just stayed long enough to convince you it belonged. People want to be filled but forget you can't pour into something that's already full. And if your room is full of distractions, attachments, curses dressed as culture, then where's God supposed to land? Where's the power supposed to flow? The Holy Spirit is not a roommate with darkness. He doesn't share the space. So while you're asking him to move, he's waiting on you to move first. To clean house, to flip tables, to break.